Admiral Zephyr stood on the bridge of his massive warship, the Eternal Dominion. His 4 yellow eyes stared at the screen in front of him. The numbers on the display made no sense. They showed something that should not exist. "Hey, sir, we have confirmed." "The readings 3 times," said Lieutenant Commander Vex. His green scales were changing color, which happened when he was nervous. "The energy signal is definitely from a human ship, but the power levels are impossible." Zephyr's long fingers tapped against his command chair. He had been fighting battles across the galaxy for over 200 years. He had seen every type of weapon and every kind of ship that existed. But this was different. This was wrong. "Show me the visual," he ordered. The main screen flickered and then showed a view of space near the edge of the Kepler 442 system. At first, there was nothing but stars and empty darkness. Then something began to appear. It was like watching a shadow become solid. The ship that emerged from hyperspace was unlike anything in the Imperial database. It was dark gray, almost black, with smooth curves that seemed to flow like water. But it also had sharp edges that looked like they could cut through steel. Strange lights pulsed along its hull in patterns that hurt to look at. "How big is it?" Zephyr asked. "About half the size of our ship, sir," replied the sensor officer. "But the energy output is reading at Class 12 on our threat scale." Zephyr felt his blood go cold. Class 12 was impossible. The highest rating any human ship had ever achieved was Class 3, and that was only their newest experimental vessels. Most human ships barely registered as Class 1 threats. "That cannot be correct," he said. "Run the scan again." "Sir, we have run it 5 times. The results are the same every time." Zephyr looked around his bridge. His crew was made up of the best officers. From 12 different alien species, they had conquered planets and destroyed entire fleets. But now, they all looked scared. "Bring up the human files," he ordered. The computer displayed everything the Empire knew about humans. It was not much. Humans had discovered faster than light. Travel only 50 years ago. They had a few small colonies on nearby planets. Their technology was primitive. Their weapons were basic projectile guns that fired metal bullets. Their ships were simple metal boxes with engines attached. "Sir," said Commander Vex from the weapon station, "should we prepare to fire?" Zephyr studied the human ship on the screen. It was not moving toward them, but it was not running away either. Just sat there in space, as if it was waiting. "For something, no," he said finally. "Not yet. Okay. Open a communication channel." Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm blue eyes. He had been in the Earth Defense Force for 25 years. He had volunteered for this mission, even though everyone said it was suicide. "Captain, the Imperial ships are scanning us," said Lieutenant Amy Davis. She was young, maybe 20, with brown hair pulled back in a tight bun. "Count 17 ships total. All of them are much bigger than us." "Good," Jake said. "Let them scan all they want. They need to see what we really are." "Sir, are you sure this will work?" asked Commander Lisa Parker. She was Jake's second in command, a woman with red hair and green eyes, who had helped design the Defiance. Jake smiled. "Lisa, we have been preparing for this moment for 15 years. Every piece of technology on this ship has been tested and retested. Our weapons are ready. Our shields are ready. Most importantly, our crew is ready." The bridge of the Defiance looked nothing like the bridges of old human ships. Instead of metal and plastic, everything was made from materials that seemed to glow with their own light. The walls were curved and smooth. The control panels responded to touch and thought. It was technology that combined human engineering with alien science. "Captain," said Dr. Nancy White from the science station, "I am detecting massive energy buildup from the Imperial flagship. They are preparing to communicate." "About time," Jake said. "Amy, put them on screen." The main view screen flickered and showed the bridge of the Imperial ship. Admiral Zephyr appeared, his 4 eyes wide with surprise. Behind him, alien officers stared at the human crew with disbelief. "Human vessel," Zephyr said, his voice carrying the authority of someone used to being obeyed. "You are in violation of Imperial space. Surrender immediately, or be destroyed." Jake looked at the alien admiral for a long moment, then he smiled. "Admiral, My name is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Defiance. We are not here to surrender. We are here to talk. Talk. Zephin's eyes narrowed. Humans do not have ships capable of reaching this system. Now, your technology is centuries behind ours, was Jake corrected. Our technology was centuries behind yours. That was before we decided to catch up. On the Imperial Bridge, Lieutenant Commander Vex whispered urgently to his admiral. Sir, the energy readings from their ship are still climbing. They are not, even at full power yet. Zephin felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. Real, cold fear. What kind of weapons are you carrying? He demanded. Jake's smile grew wider. Admiral, I think you are asking the wrong question. The question you should be asking is, how did a primitive species like humanity build a ship that your sensors cannot fully understand? That is impossible, Zephin said. But his voice was less certain now. Is it? Jake gestured to his crew. Admiral, meet Lieutenant Amy Davis, our sensor specialist. She graduated from the Mars Institute of Technology with degrees in both alien engineering and quantum physics. This is Commander Lisa Parker, who helped design our adaptive armor system using technology recovered from crashed Imperial scout ships. Zephin's face went pale. What crashed scout ships? Oh, you did not know. Jake's expression became serious. Admiral, over the past 50 years, 17 Imperial scout ships have crashed on human worlds. We recovered them all. We studied them. We learned from them. And then we improved on what we learned. The silence on the Imperial Bridge was complete. Every alien officer stared at the screen in shock. The idea that humans had been reverse engineering Imperial technology for decades was impossible to accept. You are lying, Zephin said, but he sounded like he was trying to convince himself. Am I? Jake nodded to his weapons officer. Chief Tony Blake, please show the Admiral our main gun. The camera view shifted to show the front of the Defiance. Had appeared to be a smooth section of hull began to open. Panels slid away to reveal a weapon that looked like nothing in any Imperial database. It was long and sleek, with energy crackling along its length. Strange symbols glowed along its sides. That weapon combines Imperial plasma technology with human railgun engineering, Jake explained. We call it a plasma rail cannon. It can adapt to any type of shield or armor. Would you like a demonstration? Admiral Zephin looked at his tactical officer. Commander Vex was staring at his instruments with disbelief. Sir, Vex whispered, that weapon is charging. The energy levels are off our charts, Admiral Jake said calmly. You have a choice to make. You can continue to think of humans as a primitive species that can be ignored or controlled. Or you can accept that we have grown beyond your expectations. The choice is yours, but I should warn you, we are not the same humans you have been. Dismissing for the past century, the communication channel went silent. On both bridges, humans and aliens stared at each other across the void of space. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted, and everyone knew it. Admiral Zephin looked at the human ship on his screen. It was smaller than his flagship, but somehow it seemed more dangerous than anything he had ever faced. For the first time in his long military career, he was not sure what to do next. The age of human expansion was about to begin, and the Galactic Empire was completely unprepared for what was coming. Admiral Zephin stared at the human warship on his screen. His mind was racing, trying to understand what he was seeing. The energy readings from the Defiance kept climbing higher and higher. It was like watching a star being born, whispered Lieutenant Commander Vex. Their power output has increased by another 15%. At this rate, they will surpass anything in our fleet within the hour. Zephin's 4 eyes focused on different parts of the human ship. He could see weapon ports opening along its hull. Strange lights were pulsing in patterns that made his head hurt. The ship looked alive, like some kind of predator getting ready to attack. How is this possible? He muttered. Our intelligence reports said humans barely had nuclear weapons 50 years ago. Commander Vex looked up from his weapons console. Sir, should we call for reinforcements? The nearest Imperial battle group is only 6 hours away. Do it, Zephin ordered. Send a priority alert to Fleet Command. Tell them we have encountered an unknown human warship with capabilities far beyond anything in our files. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison watched the Imperial ships with calm eyes. He knew they were scared, could see it in the way their formations were spreading out, trying to surround his ship while staying as far away as possible. "Captain," said Lieutenant Amy Davis, "I am picking up encrypted communications between the Imperial ships. They are calling for backup." "How many ships?" Jake asked. "At least 40, sir, including what looks like a battle cruiser." Jake nodded. "Good. The more ships they bring, the bigger the statement we make today." Commander Lisa Parker looked worried. "Sir, 40 ships against one seems like poor odds, even with our new technology." Jake smiled. "Lisa, you are forgetting something important. We did not come here alone." Dr. Nancy White looked up from her science station. "Captain, I am detecting movement in hyperspace. Multiple contacts approaching our position." "Right on time," Jake said. "Amy, open a channel to the Imperial fleet." The screen flickered, and Admiral Zephan appeared again. This time he looked even more nervous than before. His scales were changing color rapidly, shifting from blue to purple to green. Admiral Jake said, "I hope you are enjoying our little demonstration so far." "What demonstration?" Zephan demanded. "You have done nothing but sit there and threaten us." "Have we?" Jake turned to his weapons officer. "Chief Tony Blake, please show the Admiral what our main gun can do." Tony Blake was a big man with strong hands that moved carefully over his controls. He'd spent 10 years learning how to use weapons that combined human and alien technology. "Target selected, Captain." "The destroyer on the left flank." "Fire a warning shot," Jake ordered. "Take down their shields, but do not damage the hull." The plasma rail cannon on the front of the Defiance began to glow. Energy crackled along its length like lightning. The weapon made a sound like thunder, rolling across a mountain. Then it fired. The beam of energy that shot from the Defiance was unlike anything the Imperial forces had ever seen. It was not just light or plasma or any single type of energy. It was all of them combined into something new. The beam crossed the distance. Between ships in less than a second, it struck the Imperial destroyer's shields with tremendous force. The shields flared bright white, then blue, then red. They held for almost 3 seconds. Then they collapsed. Completely. On the bridge of the destroyer, Captain Crix felt his ship shake like a leaf in a storm. Alarms were screaming. His crew was shouting reports from every station. "Captain, shields are down," yelled his tactical officer. "Hull integrity is holding, but barely," added his engineer. "That was impossible," Crix whispered. "Our shields are military grade. They should be able to stop anything short of a capital ship's main gun." Captain Crix opened a channel to Admiral Zephan. "Sir, that human weapon just took down our shields with a single shot. A single shot that was not even aimed to destroy us." Back on the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Zephan felt like the universe was playing a cruel joke on him. "How?" he asked. "How did they do that?" Lieutenant Commander Vex was studying his sensor readings with disbelief. "Sir, their weapon adapted to our shield frequency in real time. It analyzed our defenses and found the exact combination of energy types needed to collapse them. That level of technology should not exist," Zephan said. "Even our most advanced weapons cannot do that." "Sir," added Commander Vex, "I am detecting at least 12 different weapon systems on that human ship. Half of them are completely unknown to our databases." Admiral Zephan opened the communication channel again. His voice was less confident than before. "Captain Morrison, you have made your point. Your ship is more advanced than we expected." "What do you want?" Jake Morrison looked directly into the camera. "Admiral, what I want is very simple. I want you to understand that humanity is not the same species you have been ignoring for the past 50 years, explained Zephan said. Dr. Nancy White stepped forward. She was a small woman with gray hair and intelligent eyes. "Admiral, my name is Dr. Nancy White. I am the Chief Science Officer of this vessel. Perhaps you would like to know how we developed our adaptive shield technology." "Go on," Zephan said, though he looked like he did not really want to hear the answer. "It came from studying the wreckage of your scout ships," Nancy said calmly. "Over the past 50 years, 17 Imperial vessels have crashed on human worlds. We recovered every single one. We studied every piece of technology. We learned how your shields work. how your weapons function, how your engines operate. The silence on the Imperial bridge was complete. Every alien officer was staring at the screen in shock. But we did not just copy your technology, Nancy continued. We improved it. We combined it with human engineering principles. We made it better. Impossible, Zephyr breathed. Is it? Jake asked. Admiral, while your empire has been growing, comfortable assuming that your technological superiority would last forever, humanity has been working. We have been learning. We have been preparing for this day. Lieutenant Amy Davis spoke up from her station. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting the Imperial reinforcements. 43 ships total, including the battlecruiser Dominator. Jake nodded. Perfect timing. Admiral, your reinforcements are about to arrive. I hope you have prepared them for what they are going to see. What do you mean? Zephyr asked. Jake smiled. I mean that the Defiance is not alone. We told you that humanity has changed, Admiral. Did you think we would send just one ship to make that point? As if responding to his words, space around the Kepler 442 system began to shimmer. The stars seemed to bend and twist. Then, one by one, human warships began to appear. The first ship to decloak was the UES Vengeance, commanded by Captain Susan Taylor. It was longer than the Defiance, with weapons that glowed like angry red eyes. The second ship was the UES Retribution, under Captain Pete Coleman. Its hull was covered in armor that seemed to move and shift like living metal. More ships appeared. The UES Freedom, the UES Justice, the UES Liberty. Each one was different, designed for a specific purpose. But all of them shared the same advanced technology that made them impossible to ignore. Defiance. This is Captain Susan Taylor aboard. The Vengeance, came a voice over the communication system. The second human fleet is in position and ready for action. Admiral Zephyr watched in horror as 13 human warships took positions around his fleet. His 17 ships were suddenly outnumbered and outgunned by vessels that should not exist. Yes, changes everything, he whispered. Yes, it does, Jake agreed. Admiral, you now have a choice to make. You can try to fight us, which would be a mistake. You can try to run, which would be pointless since we are faster than your ships. Or you can listen to what we have to say. What are your demands? Zephyr asked. No demands, Admiral. We are here to make an offer. Humanity wants to join the galactic community as equals, not as subjects. We want fair treatment, fair trade, and respect for our sovereignty. And if the Empire refuses, Jake's expression became serious. Learn that these 13 ships are just the beginning. Admiral, humanity has spent 50 years preparing for this conversation. We have shipyards you do not know about. We have technologies you have never seen. Most importantly, we have the determination to claim our rightful place among the stars. Commander, Lisa Parker added, Admiral, these ships represent less than 5% of humanity's current military capability. We have been very busy while you were not paying attention. Admiral Zephyr looked around his bridge. His officers were all staring at him, waiting for orders. But what orders could he give? His fleet was surrounded by ships that had technology. Beyond his understanding, any aggressive action could start a war that the Empire might not win. I need to contact my superiors, he said finally. Of course, Jake replied. Take all the time you need, Admiral. We are not going anywhere. But while you are talking to your leaders, I suggest you think about this. The age of Imperial dominance is over. The question now is whether the Empire will adapt to this new reality or be swept away by it. The communication channel closed, leaving both fleets facing each other in the silence of space. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, and everyone knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Admiral Zephyr stood alone in his private communications chamber. The walls around him were lined with screens showing data from sensors, tactical displays, and intelligence reports. None of it made sense anymore. Everything the Empire thought it knew about humans was wrong. He activated the emergency communication channel to Imperial High Command. The face that appeared on the screen belonged to Grand Admiral Corax, the supreme commander of all Imperial forces. Corax had scales that were deep purple with gold markings, showing his high rank in ancient age. Admiral Zephan Korex said in a voice like grinding stone. Your report about human warships is being questioned by the War Council. They believe you are mistaken. Sir, I am sending you all sensor data and visual recordings, Zephan replied. The humans have 13 advanced warships surrounding my fleet. Their technology is beyond anything in our databases. Korex studied the data for several minutes. His expression changed from doubt to concern to alarm. This is impossible. Our spies on Earth reported that humans barely have functional space travel. Sir, the humans claim they have been reverse engineering our crashed scout ships for 50 years. They say they have built their technology by studying ours and improving it. 17 scout ships have gone missing in human space over the past decades, Korex admitted. We assumed they were destroyed by solar storms or equipment failure. They were not destroyed, sir. They were captured and studied. Back on the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison was having his own important conversation. The screen showed 3 faces from Earth. General Robert Clark, the head of Earth's Defense Command. President Mary Johnson, the leader of the United Earths government. And Dr. Helen Carter, the chief scientist who had designed much of the technology on the human fleet. Jake, said General Clark. How are they responding to our demonstration? Exactly as we hoped, sir. They're scared and confused. Their admiral is talking to his superiors right now. President Johnson leaned forward. Any signs of aggression? No, ma'am. They are keeping their distance. I think they realize that attacking us would be a very bad idea. Dr. Carter smiled. The adaptive weapons are performing perfectly. Better than expected, Jake replied. Chief Blake says the plasmarel cannon adapted to their shield frequency in less than 2 seconds. Their destroyer shields collapsed like they were made of paper. Good, the president said. Jake, remember that this mission is not about starting a war. We want to force them to negotiate as equals. Understood, ma'am. But they need to know we are serious about defending ourselves. Commander Lisa Parker approached Jake's command chair. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the Imperial reinforcements. They have arrived at the edge of the system. Jake looked at the tactical display. 43 new Imperial ships had dropped out of hyperspace. They were massive, much larger than the original patrol fleet. The biggest ship was the battlecruiser Dominator, a vessel that could destroy entire cities with its main guns. Captain Taylor, Jake said into his communications system, are you seeing this? Copy that, Defiance, came the reply from Captain Susan Taylor aboard the Vengeance. Looks like they brought friends to the party. Captain Coleman, Jake called to another ship. What is your status? Replied Captain Pete Coleman. All weapons charged and shields at maximum. Lieutenant Amy Davis looked up from her sensors. Captain, the new Imperial ships are not taking aggressive positions. They're staying back, probably trying to figure out what they are dealing with. Jake nodded. Smart move on their part. Dr. Nancy White was studying her science displays. Captain, I am detecting some very interesting energy signatures from that battle cruiser. It has weapons I have never seen before. Are they targeting us? No, sir, but they are definitely studying us very carefully. On the bridge of the battlecruiser Dominator, Admiral Voss was having the same problem as every other Imperial commander. In the system, sensors were telling him things that could not be true. Admiral Voss was older than Zephan, with dark red scales and 6 arms that moved constantly as he worked. He had commanded fleets for over 300 years. He had conquered 12 star systems and destroyed hundreds of enemy ships, but he had never seen anything like the human vessels. Navigation, he ordered. Maintain distance from the human ships. Do not approach closer than 50,000 kilometers. Sir, asked his weapons officer, should we prepare to engage? Absolutely not, Voss replied sharply. Those ships have technology we do not understand. Any attack could result in the destruction of this entire fleet. But, sir, they are just humans. Admiral Voss turned all 6 of his eyes toward the young officer. Lieutenant, those just humans have 13 warships that our sensors cannot fully analyze. It destroyed the shields of one of our destroyers with a single shot. I suggest you adjust your thinking very quickly. The communication system activated, and Admiral Zephin's face appeared. Admiral Voss, thank you for responding to our call for assistance. Zephin, what exactly are we dealing with here? Sir, the humans have developed technology that combines Imperial science with their own engineering. They claim to have been preparing for this encounter for 50 years. Admiral Voss studied the tactical display, showing the positions of all ships in the system. The human vessels were arranged in a perfect formation that covered all possible escape routes. It was the kind of positioning that showed careful planning and complete confidence. Have they made any demands? Voss asked. They say they want to be treated as equals in galactic affairs. They want representation in the Galactic Council and fair trade agreements. And if we refuse, they claim these 13 ships are just a small part of their total fleet. Admiral Voss felt something he had not experienced in decades. Doubt. Real. Deep doubt about the Empire's ability to handle this situation. Captain Jake Morrison opened a new communication channel that reached both Imperial admirals. Admiral Zephin, Admiral Voss, I hope you are both comfortable. We have been waiting patiently while you discuss the situation. Captain Morrison, Admiral Voss, said, I am Admiral Voss, commander of the Imperial 3rd Battle Group. I understand. You have some kind of proposal for the Empire? Not a proposal, Admiral. An announcement. Humanity is no longer content to be treated as a minor species on the edge of civilized space. We have grown beyond what you thought possible, so we see. Voss replied carefully, Your ships are certainly impressive. Thank you, but you have not seen everything yet. Wait. Jake turned to his tactical officer. Commander Don Rogers, please show the admirals our defensive capabilities. Commander Rogers was a quiet man who had spent 15 years studying alien military tactics. His fingers moved across his control panel with practiced skill, activating adaptive armor and full defensive screens. The hull of the Defiance began to change. What had appeared to be smooth metal started to shift and flow like liquid. Sections moved and rearranged themselves. New weapon ports opened while others closed. The ship's entire configuration altered itself in response to the tactical situation. Impossible, whispered Admiral Voss. Their hull is alive, added Admiral Zephin. Not alive, Jake corrected, but adaptive. Our armor system can reconfigure itself to counter any type of attack. It learns from every weapon fired at it and adjusts accordingly. Dr. Nancy White stepped forward. Admirals, this technology was developed by studying the self-repair systems we found in your crashed scout ships. We improved the concept and applied it to our entire hull structure. How many of our ships have you studied? Admiral Voss demanded. Every piece of Imperial technology that has fallen into human hands over the past 50 years, Jake replied. We have learned from your weapons, your shields, your engines, and your computers. Then we combined that knowledge with human innovation. Lieutenant Amy Davis looked up from her station. Captain, I am detecting energy buildups from several of the Imperial ships. They might be preparing weapons. Jake's expression became serious. Admirals, I hope your ships are not making preparations to attack. That would be a very poor decision. We are not preparing to attack, Admiral Voss said quickly. But we cannot simply accept your claims without proof. What kind of proof would you like? Admiral Voss thought for a moment. You claim to have technology superior to ours. You claim to have ships we cannot defeat. Prove it. Jake smiled. Very well, but remember that you asked for this demonstration. He turned to his communications officer. Lieutenant Bill Ryan, sent a message to the fleet. All ships are to activate their full sensor suites simultaneously. Yes, sir. Across the human fleet, every ship began to glow with energy. Sensors that had been running at minimum power suddenly activated to full strength. The combined scanning power of 13 advanced warships focused on the Imperial fleet. On every Imperial ship, alarms began screaming. Sensors overloaded, computer systems crashed and restarted, communication networks failed and came back online. The human ships were not attacking, but their scanning beams were so powerful that they disrupted Imperial technology just by observing it. Turn it off, Admiral Voss shouted, and turn off whatever you are doing. Jake nodded to his crew and the scanning beams stopped. Imperial ships slowly returned to normal operation. Admiral Voss sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display. The human ships showed no signs of backing down. If anything, they seemed more confident with each passing hour. His communications officer had been trying to reach Imperial. "High Command for the past 30 minutes, sir," the officer said. "I have Grand Admiral Corex on the priority channel." The main screen flickered and showed the ancient commander, worried. Behind him, other high-ranking Imperial officials moved back and forth, all of them talking urgently.
Admiral Voss,
Corex said, "The War Council has been meeting for 6 hours. We need to know your assessment of the human fleet." "Sir, these ships are beyond anything we have encountered. Their technology appears to be equal or superior to ours in every category." "That is impossible. Sir, I have sent you all sensor data. The humans demonstrated their scanning capability by disrupting our entire fleet without firing a single weapon. If they can do that with sensors, imagine what their weapons can accomplish." Corex was quiet for a long moment. "What do they want?" "Equal treatment in galactic affairs, representation in the Galactic Council, an end to imperial policies that treat Earth as a primitive world. And if we refuse, I believe they will go to war. Based on what I have seen, it is a war we might not win." The communication ended, leaving Admiral Voss alone with his thoughts. In 300 years of military service, he had never felt so uncertain about the outcome of a potential battle. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison was meeting with his senior officers. The mood was serious but confident. Everyone knew this was the most important moment in human history. "Status report," Jake said. Commander Lisa Parker looked at her datapad. "All ships are at full readiness. Weapons charged, shields up, engines ready for immediate action. Any movement from the Imperial fleet?" "No, sir. They are maintaining their distance. I think we have their full attention." Dr. Nancy White spoke. Up from her science station, "Captain, I am detecting interesting energy patterns from their communications. They are using emergency channels to contact their homeworlds." "Good," Jake said. "The more people who know about this situation, though, better." Lieutenant Amy Davis turned from her sensors. "Sir, I am picking up new ships entering the system. They appear to be civilian vessels." Jake frowned. "Civilian? How many?" 12 ships so far, sir. They are keeping their distance, but they seem to be observing the situation." News reporters, Commander Lisa Parker said, "Word is spreading about what is happening here." "Perfect," Jake replied. "The Empire will have a hard time covering this up if the entire galaxy is watching." Chief Engineer Tony Blake came onto the bridge carrying a datapad. "Captain, all systems are running at 100% efficiency. The new fusion reactors are performing better than expected. Any problems with the alien technology integration?" "None, sir. The Imperial components we reverse engineered are working perfectly with our human systems. It's like they were meant to go together." Jake nodded. The success of the human fleet depended on combining technologies from many different alien species. Over 50 years, crashed ships from dozens of civilizations had been studied and understood. Human engineers had taken the best ideas from each one and built something entirely new. "Captain," Dr. Nancy White said, "I'm receiving a transmission from one of the civilian ships. They are requesting permission to interview you." "Tell them maybe later," Jake replied. "We have more important things to deal with right now." Communication system activated and Admiral Voss appeared on screen. He looked older than he had a few hours ago, as if the stress of the situation was aging him rapidly. Captain Morrison Voss said, "I have been authorized to begin formal negotiations." "I am listening, Admiral." "The Empire is prepared to discuss limited changes to the current relationship between our species." Jake shook his head. "Admiral, I think you misunderstood our position. We are not asking for limited changes. We are demanding complete equality." "What?" "That is impossible. The Empire has maintained order in this galaxy for over 1,000 years. We cannot simply change everything because one species has developed new technology." Admiral Jake said calmly, "You are thinking about this situation incorrectly. It is not about one species demanding changes. This is about the natural evolution of galactic civilization." "Explain." Dr. Nancy White stepped forward. Admiral, may I ask you a question? How long has it been since the Empire encountered a truly new technology? Voss thought for a moment. Perhaps 200 years? And how long has it been since any species successfully challenged Imperial authority? For over 400 years? That is the problem, Nancy said. The Empire has become stagnant. You have stopped growing, stopped learning, stopped improving. Meanwhile, younger species like humanity have been forced to innovate just to survive. Admiral Voss looked uncomfortable. The Imperial system has brought peace and stability to thousands of worlds, has it? Jake asked. Or has it brought stagnation and fear? Admiral, how many promising young species have been held back by Imperial policies? How many scientific discoveries have been suppressed because they threatened Imperial control? You were talking about revolution, Voss said. No, Jake replied. We were talking about evolution. The galaxy is changing whether the Empire likes it or not. You can be part of that change, or you can be swept away by it. Lieutenant Amy Davis looked up from her station. Captain, more civilian ships are arriving. One count 37 vessels now, from at least 12 different species. The news is spreading, Commander Lisa Parker observed. Captain Morrison, Admiral Voss said, you are putting the Empire in an impossible position. If we agree to your demands, other species will expect the same treatment. Exactly, Jake smiled. Admiral, that is the point. The age of Imperial dominance is ending. Question is whether the Empire will adapt to a new galactic order or fight a losing battle. To maintain the old one? On the Imperial battlecruiser Dominator, Admiral Voss was receiving another urgent communication from Grand Admiral Corex. This time, Corex was not alone. Several other high-ranking Imperial officials were present, including Minister Zek from the Council of Worlds. Corex said the situation has become more complicated. We are receiving reports from across the galaxy. Other species are demanding meetings with Imperial representatives. Some are claiming they also have hidden technological capabilities. Sir, the humans may have started something that cannot be stopped. Minister Zek spoke up. Admiral, what is your military assessment? Can we defeat the human fleet? Voss hesitated. Minister, I cannot guarantee victory. Their technology is too advanced and too unknown. Any battle could result in heavy Imperial losses. And if we lose, Minister, the entire foundation of Imperial authority will collapse. Every species in the galaxy will see that the Empire can be defeated. Then we cannot fight them, Corex said grimly. Sir, that leaves us with only one option. Negotiation, Captain. Jake Morrison was having his own conversation with Earth. President Mary Johnson appeared on screen, along with General Robert Clark and Dr. Helen Carter. Jake, the president said, reports of your confrontation are spreading across Earth. The entire planet is watching. Ma'am, we knew this moment would come eventually. Humanity could not remain hidden forever. General Clark leaned forward. Any signs that they might attack? No, sir. They are scared and confused, but not aggressive. I think they realize that. Attacking us would be suicide. Dr. Carter smiled. The adaptive technology is performing perfectly. Better than we hoped, ma'am. Their sensors cannot get accurate readings on our ships. Their weapons would have difficulty targeting us. Most importantly, they know we can adapt to anything they throw at us. What about their reinforcements? The president asked. 60 Imperial ships total, including their most advanced battle cruiser, but numbers do not matter when your technology is inferior. Jake, General Clark said seriously, remember that this is not just about Earth anymore. The entire galaxy is watching. Whatever happens in the next few hours will determine humanity's future among the stars. Understood, sir? The communication ended, and Jake turned to his crew. Everyone ready for the final phase? Yes, sir, they replied together. Admiral Voss opened a new channel to the Defiance. Captain Morrison, the Empire is prepared to discuss a formal treaty. What kind of treaty, Admiral? One that recognizes humanity as an equal partner in galactic affairs. Jake smiled. Now you are talking our language, Admiral. Before we begin negotiations, there is one more thing you need to see. What? The rest of our fleet. Admiral? Voss felt his blood go cold. The rest of your fleet? Admiral, did you really think 13 ships was all humanity could build in 50 years of preparation? As if responding to Jake's words, space around the Kepler 442 system began to shimmer again. New ships started appearing, but these were different from the first 13. They were larger, more heavily armed, and they moved with a confidence. Of Predators, 25 more human warships decloaked around the Imperial fleet. The humans now outnumbered the Empire's forces and outgunned them completely. Captain Morrison, Admiral Voss said in a shaking voice, "How many ships does humanity have? Enough, Admiral? More than enough?" Admiral Voss stared at the tactical display in complete silence. 38 human warships now surrounded his fleet of 60 Imperial vessels. The numbers should have favored the Empire, but everyone on his bridge knew better. These human ships had technology that made Imperial weapons look like toys. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "Grand Admiral Corax is requesting an immediate status report." "Tell him I will contact him in 1 hour," Voss replied. "Right now, I need to focus on keeping this fleet alive." The bridge was eerily quiet. Officers who had spent their entire careers believing in Imperial superiority now faced the reality that another species had surpassed them completely. It was a shock that would change how they viewed the galaxy forever. "Admiral," his tactical officer whispered, "should we prepare for battle?" Voss turned his 6 eyes toward the young officer. "Lieutenant, if we fire a single shot at those human ships, we will all be dead within minutes. Our only option now is to negotiate and hope. They are more merciful than we have been to other species." Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the Imperial fleet on his main screen. He could see their ships moving nervously, spreading out as if trying to find escape routes that did not exist. "Captain, Commander Lisa," Parker said, "all human vessels are reporting ready status. We have complete tactical superiority." "Good," Jake replied. "But remember, our goal is not to destroy them. Our goal is to force them to accept the new reality." Dr. Nancy White looked up from her science station. "Captain, I am detecting massive communication traffic between the Imperial ships and their home worlds. The entire Empire is watching this confrontation." "Perfect," Jake said. "The more witnesses we have, the harder it will be for them to deny what happened here." Lieutenant Amy Davis turned from her sensors. "Sir, the civilian news ships have increased. 2 over 100 vessels. Representatives from 47 different species are now observing the situation." Jake nodded. Amy opened a channel to Admiral Voss. The screen flickered and showed the Imperial commander. Voss looked like he had aged 10 years in the past hour. His scales had lost their bright color and his movements seemed slow and tired. Admiral Jake said, "I think it is time we finished our conversation." "Captain Morrison," Voss replied, "you have made your point very clearly. Humanity possesses military capabilities that exceed our own. What are your terms?" "No terms, Admiral. I have a proposal." "Go on." "The Empire can continue to exist, but it must change. Instead of ruling the galaxy through force and fear, it must become a partner. In a new galactic federation, all species must be treated as equals. All voices must be heard." Admiral Voss was quiet for several minutes. Finally, he spoke. "Captain, what you are describing would require the complete restructuring of Imperial civilization. We have ruled this galaxy for over 1,000 years. And now that rule is ending," Jake replied calmly. "The question is whether it ends peacefully or violently. You would go to war with the entire Empire, if necessary?" "Yes. But I hope it will not come." To that, Dr. Nancy White stepped forward. "Admiral, may I share something with you? Humanity has been studying Imperial history for 50 years. We know about the wars, the conquered species, the suppressed technologies. We also know about the good things the Empire has accomplished. Peace, the trade routes, the scientific exchanges." "What is your point?" Voss asked. "Our point is that the Empire does not have to be destroyed. It just has to evolve. Instead of ruling through fear, you could lead through example." Instead of suppressing other species, you could help them grow. Admiral Voss looked around his bridge. His officers were all listening carefully. Some of them were nodding slightly as if they agreed with what the human was saying. Captain Morrison, Voss said slowly, assuming the Empire were willing to consider such changes. How would this new Federation function? Simple, Jake replied. A galactic council with representatives from every species. Decisions made by consensus, not by force. Free trade and open scientific exchange. No species would be considered superior to any other. And if some species refuse to participate, and they can remain independent, as long as they do not threaten others. Lieutenant Bill Ryan, the communications officer, approached Jake's command chair. Captain, we are receiving a priority transmission from Earth. President Johnson wants to speak with you. Put her through, Jake said. The screen split to show both Admiral Voss and President Mary Johnson. The president looked serious, but confident. Captain Morrison, she said, the United Earth's government has been monitoring your negotiations. We want to make something clear to Admiral Voss. Yes, ma'am. President Johnson looked directly at the Imperial commander. Admiral, humanity does not want to be the ruler of a new galactic empire. We want to be partners in a galactic democracy. If the current empire is willing to transform itself into something better, we will support that transformation. And if the empire refuses, Voss asked, then humanity will work with other species to build something new. Admiral, change is coming to this galaxy, whether the empire participates or not. You can be part of the solution, or you can become part of the problem. The communication with Earth ended, leaving Jake and Admiral Voss facing each other again. And Captain Voss said, I need to contact Imperial High Command. This decision is beyond my authority. Of course, Jake replied. Take all the time you need. But Admiral, while you are talking to your leaders, consider this. Every hour that passes, more species are learning about what happened here today. The secret of Imperial weakness is already spreading across the galaxy. The next 6 hours were tense for everyone involved. Imperial communications channels buzzed with urgent messages between fleets, planets, and government officials. Human ships maintained their positions, patient but ready for action. During this time, something unexpected began to happen. Representatives from other species started arriving in the Kepler 442 system. Not just news reporters, but official ambassadors and military observers. Captain Lieutenant Amy Davis reported, I am detecting ships from the Andorian Republic, the Centauri Federation, and at least 12 other independent systems. They are all requesting permission to observe the negotiations. Let them come, Jake said. The more witnesses we have, the better. As word spread throughout the galaxy, the confrontation at Kepler 442 became the most watched event in modern history. Species that had been suppressed by the Empire for centuries suddenly saw hope for change. Young civilizations that had been ignored realized they might have a voice in galactic affairs. Finally, Admiral Voss received his orders from Imperial High Command. When he appeared on screen again, he looked different. More resigned, but also somewhat relieved. Captain Morrison, he said, I have been authorized to begin formal negotiations for a new galactic charter. Excellent, Jake replied. What are the Empire's conditions? The Empire will maintain its current territories and military forces, but it agrees to participate in a galactic council. Imperial law will be replaced by council law in matters affecting multiple species. That is a good start, Jake said. What about representation? Every species will have a voice proportional to their population and technological development. No, Jake said firmly. Every species gets equal representation, regardless of size or technology. That is not negotiable. Admiral Voss hesitated. Captain, some Imperial officials will resist that condition. Then they will have to accept that their time of absolute power is over. Dr. Nancy White added, Admiral, this new system will benefit the Empire as well. Instead of spending resources controlling other species, you can focus on growth and development. And if rebellions occur, there will be no rebellions, Jake said, because there will be no oppression. When people have a voice in their government, they do not rebel against it. Over the next several hours, the basic framework of a new galactic government was established. The Imperial fleet and the human fleet would work together to maintain peace during the transition. A constitutional convention would be held with representatives from every known species. Most importantly, the age of rule by force was ending. The galaxy was entering a new era of cooperation and mutual respect. "Admiral Voss," Jake said, as their final communication session ended, "I want you to know that humanity has great respect for what the Empire accomplished in its early years. Now we have a chance to build something even better together, Captain." Morrison Voss replied, "I must admit that this outcome is better than I expected when your ships first appeared. Perhaps change is not always a bad thing." As the fleets began to disperse, both sides knew that history had been made. The Galactic Empire still existed, but it was no longer an empire. It was the foundation of something new, something that would give every species in the galaxy hope for a better future. Captain Jake Morrison looked out at the stars and smiled. Humanity had claimed its place among them, not through conquest, but through the courage to demand equality and the wisdom to offer partnership instead of domination. The galaxy would never be the same again. And that was exactly what humanity had hoped to achieve.